Welcome to Friday, May the 7th, another Q&A session or Ask Me Anything session. It's been a crazy busy week. I'm absolutely exhausted. I was tempted to just not do this session at all. You see, it's Friday, so I've been working hard for 5 days, been really busy with work, and of course it's my son's birthday. So we had all that going on. My wife, of course, was really busy in the kitchen making an incredible cake, a 30-layer crepe cake. It's just gorgeous. It tastes amazing. And it was an awful lot of fun. A great day, but I'm absolutely exhausted, and I almost didn't have the time to do this. I just sat down, I looked at the footage from the R5 where I shot his birthday. I shot it in C-Log3 and it looks pretty good. I synced up the audio, so once I'm done with this, I get to relax upstairs and just cake out and take it easy. But for this session of Ask Me Anything, if you've got any questions, go ahead and drop it in the live chat down below. I see Ahish has already said hello, and I see, thank you, Kevin. I see Kevin has joined us as well. Good evening from Florida. Now, what's the weather like in Florida? I imagine it's pretty hot and toasty. I mean, what month is this? Yeah, May. I lived in Kentucky and Marietta, Georgia for 4 years. And once you get past March, it starts to heat up. So I imagine being May, you're probably very toasty right now. So welcome. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on chatting for the next 50 minutes or so. Well, probably 50 minutes or less. Now, this week, there hasn't been a whole lot of news, and that's why I haven't put out any videos. Now, there was something on Canon Rumors talking about a 20 millimeter prime lens, and they were coming out with the embodiments for that. And I looked at that and I thought, well, if there was something else, I'll go ahead and put out a video, but it wasn't enough. But still, 20 millimeter prime, f1.8, back focus of 11.72 millimeters. You know, that could potentially be a really good vlogging lens, but even just shooting open, I really like being able to go wide. I'd really like to be able to get 16 millimeters. And I like playing around with manual focus, but you see, when I really need to get a shot, that's where I like autofocus. It really kicks in and it does a great job. Okay, looks like we're really getting a lot of traffic here. So Jesse, welcome, also from Florida. And we've got Thurandu. Hey, buddy, how are you? From Singapore, so welcome. And New Jersey. So, Nick, you're not too far away from me, so you're probably having a little bit of chilly weather as well. So we got a few questions here, and I thought the R5 was going to be a big topic, as is the Sony A7S4. Now, let me know, what do you think of my lighting right now? These glasses aren't very good for distance. I can see through the Ninja that I seem to be lit up with normal face colors, face tones, and the lights in the back sort of give it a little bit more depth. I didn't really play around much with the f-stop or anything. I just more or less turned it on, turned off C-Log, and started shooting. We have a question already. Ace Photography, what's your question? Do you think that the R3 will be worth it? I have the R5 currently. I love these questions. I'm going to answer this question like a politician would answer the question, because I don't know you. I don't know what you're using it for. So give me some more information. But I'll say this. I use the R5 mostly for video. It's hence the term ordinary filmmaker. I shoot video almost all the times, and for social media posts or sending a picture to my relatives, it's just simply taking a screen grab, because I shoot in 4K HQ all the time, and the detail is pretty good. No one notices, oh, that was taken from video. And I also like the fact that it has really great stills capabilities. Even though I only shoot photos maybe 5% of the time when I do, I appreciate the good quality results it gives me. So let me know, what do you plan on using it for? Oh, video and stills. I'm a real estate photographer, videographer. And are you in Florida? Are you in a very hot and humid area? Because see, here's the thing with the R5, I think it's a terrific camera. I think for what you're doing, it's more than adequate. You don't want to be a FOMO, fear of missing out. I think what's always important to do is to identify, okay, so what is it that I do? Great, so you've told us. So what are the capabilities I need to do that? So you're going to do video and still, so break them down. Do you need detailed 4K? Do you need detailed 1080? Do you need high megapixels, like 45 megapixels, so you can crop in for some of the work you're doing? Build out those capabilities, because once you build out those capabilities, then you can start to look, you can look at the R5 and measure it up against it, and then you can look at the R3 and measure up against it as well. And we don't know a lot about the R3 right now, but I think even though Canon has said this is going to sit between the R1 and the R5, I think it's going to be more capable than the 1DX Mark III. So I think it's going to be a very, very good camera. It's going to be fast with stills, but we don't know much about the video capabilities. This time around, Canon has come out and said, these are all the photo capabilities, and they've said almost nothing about stills, and they learned their lesson from the R5. So the things that I'd be watching out for is overheating. Because if you're in Florida, if you're in the heat, Massachusetts, so yeah, you're kind of like where I am in Ontario. You're looking at about, 2 months of the year where it can get really hot, and the rest of the time it's manageable. If you're going to be shooting long segments or shooting a lot of photos and going over to video, then you might bump into that overheat warning. It really depends. Now, there are ways to overcome that. If you put a Ninja 5 on top of it, then you pretty much eliminate those overheat concerns, but it does add more weight. And if you're on a tripod, that's fine. If you're moving around, then, it's another thing that adds weight to it, because that R3 is going to cost more than the R5. So that's something to consider. So I really highly recommend a capability map, like I said, and you list out all the things, the outcomes, the results, the capabilities you want the camera to deliver, graph them out, use PowerPoint or use Keynote, and just create simple little boxes with no more than 3 to 5 words in them. And then you can color code them for each camera, and it'll help you determine visually which camera is better for you. So that's something I highly recommend. All right, let's go back and see who else is. I wish I could take the comments you guys are giving me and just flash them on the screen, but I don't have that capability with OBS, and there's ways of doing it, but it's not as easy on the Mac. Now, I want to tell you guys try words, speak me not, a little bit of behind the scenes with streaming. When I looked at the numbers from last week, believe it or not, I lost a subscriber. So if you look at the total subscriber counts for the video, I lost a subscriber, and I think I made like $6. So if you're looking at doing live streams, you're looking at doing a channel, steer away from live streams. You're not going to make money off it. It doesn't grow the channel in any meaningful way. In fact, I think it kind of works against you, but where it does really help is through engagement. So I'm trying it out. I'm still piloting different technologies. I'd really like to be using the M1 that I have here, but Canon's EOS web utility doesn't work, and that's what I'm using. I've got another Mac in front of me here with a USB-C cable connected, and that allows me to stream directly from the R5. So even though this is not a high-quality stream, I think it might be 720, although I've got OBS set to 1080. It depends on what's happening between the R5, the web, all the software in between, so we'll see. But I am jacked directly into the router, so that should work. So a little bit of behind the scenes. Live streaming is fun, and it's more fun when you can flash things up on the screen, but I really, it's not something that's going to help you grow your channel. Too much purple. Right. Let me see if I can fix that. We're going to do this live. How's that? A little less purple? It reminds me of the movie Men in Black, the first one, where the guy walks in after he'd been taken over by the alien, and the wife says, "What's wrong with your face?" And he goes like this, "Better." So yeah, there's a little bit less purple there, but let me know what you think. All right, so let's see. Greg, too much purple? Yeah, so I've toned that down, Greg. Paul, good day. Have you addressed the 8K RAW over HDMI for the R5 as it relates to the Atomos Ninja 5 Plus? It's actually the 5, yeah. No, because until I get something in hand, until I get more details about it, I don't know, because we don't have the specs, so I really don't know what to say, and I don't like to, well, I mean, we can here. We can postulate, well, would it do RAW over it? What are the bit rates and all that kind of thing? So Until we get that information, it's really kind of hard to say. But see, here's the thing: they're charging $1,400 or $1,500 for the Ninja 5 Plus. The regular Ninja is what, $500 and 20% off on Black Friday. So you look at that big jump in price, and what are you getting? Well, you're getting that 4K 120, and you're getting 8K. So I can imagine it's going to do it very, very well to command that extra $1,000 or almost extra $1,000 in price. But that's just conjecture. We'll have to see what the full specs are. What do you think? Is this something that interests you? What kind of work do you do that you'd be shooting a lot of 8K? Stop the FOMO, who was on the channel not too long ago, was saying that he shoots 8K all the time. And the reason he does that is so when he's doing his videos, he can punch in and you still get a very sharp, detailed 4K video. So there's that. With me and my channel, my studio, the way it's set up, I got a lot of black in the background. I got some purples and blue tones and some lenses in the background that are past the depth of field, so they're blurred out. So I can punch in a little bit in 4K HQ and no one's going to complain and say it's not looking good. So, oh, Yusuf, thank you so much. Wow, $20 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thanks so much. And Yusuf says, always good to see you, Simon. We appreciate your time. I've received my hat and I love it. In fact, I'm wearing it now. Awesome. Okay, so Yusuf bought this cap here. This is the Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap. It's actually a good quality cap. I spent 3 or 4 months working with Creator Stack to source the right hats. They sent me 2 hats. They were cheap. They were like a $6 cap or a $10 cap. This has got like a denim feel to it. It's very soft. I'd take it off right now, but I'd lose my microphone and everything. And on the back, if you can see here, it's got a metal buckle. So it's a good quality device. And if you want to support the channel, they're $34.99 at ordinaryfilmmaker.com. So Yusuf, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And I'm glad you like it. And one of the reasons I thought this would be a great piece of merch is, aren't we all ordinary filmmakers? You know, it kind of says it right there. And I've had some people say, no, Simon, you don't want to do that because ordinary just means, you know, you're like, it's plain, you're nothing special, or you're one of the bunch. And I said, exactly. And that's what my channel's about and I started off that way and I still consider myself ordinary, although I'm getting a lot better at what I shoot. So Yusuf, thank you so much for that super chat. Much appreciated. Let's take a look at some of the other comments here. So Ace said he also does product and portrait shots. You know, Ace, and going back to, should you get the R3? And again, we don't know enough about the R3. I wouldn't even be thinking of the R3 other than, you know, I'd love to get the Bugatti Veyron Supersport. You know, it's a beautiful car. It's got the Lincoln or Mercedes E350 feel to it, but it's fast. And the R3, from that point of view, yeah, it's a great camera. Let me look at it. But until we actually get the specs or the capabilities of it, I don't know. Because even myself, I think, well, that could be a good camera, but what is it going to give me that the R5 doesn't give me? Does it eliminate overheats? Well, when I'm doing my personal stuff outside, my run and gun stuff, I'm never shooting for more than, you know, maybe a minute at most. Most of the times I'm shooting clips. And even in the summer heat last year, I was shooting outside whenever I was shooting family stuff. And this was before firmware 1.1 came out, 1.1.1, the one that's improved the cool down times. I'd get up to 15 minutes. I'd take some shots. I'd get up to 15 minutes on how much time it said I had left. And then we'd recompose or we'd do something else or we'd go to another park. And by the time I was ready to shoot again, I was back up to 25 minutes. So for a lot of that personal stuff, I didn't see an issue with it. And of course, for stills, you're covered. But for doing a YouTube channel, something where you're going to be recording videos for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes longer, well, that's where the Ninja 5 comes in, because I don't have to worry about the camera working hard. I'm not writing to any of those storage cards. The CF Express card that generates a lot of heat, and even the SD card, I'm not writing to those at all. And I'm using a dummy battery, one of Canon's dummy batteries plugged in, so I'm not getting any heat off the battery. It's basically just taking what's on what the sensor reads and sending it out over HDMI. It's pretty simple. So I think the Ninja 5 really helps with the overheating. So how is it capable? Well, 30 frames per second, that is pretty impressive. But I don't even use 20 frames per second with the R5. I'm usually right around that 8-9 frames per second for what I need, and that's usually good enough, because I find that if I do too much spraying and praying, oh, am I working hard in post just trying to find the right shot? So I try not to do a burst unless I need to. I just try to frame it and nail it right. So yeah. All right, let's take a look at some more questions coming in, guys. Some great questions tonight. And Waytech, good to see you as well, buddy. Thanks for dialing in here. Vivid Line Images asks, R3 will be overkill. R5 is a sweet spot for hybrids. Yeah, look, I don't disagree, but again, it depends on, what your bag is, right? Like if you're looking at getting into sports photography, into the professional area, then those extra frames can make a huge difference. And sometimes when you're shooting portraits with kids and you're shooting, you just got that fraction of a second and you want to do a bit of spraying and praying just to nail it, it can be really handy. But I think for a lot of us, especially as ordinary filmmakers, I mean, the R5 is really, I don't even need these, let's put this down a bit. The R5 is really, I mean, for me, it's way above what I was needing to do. When I started the channel, I said, look, what I was trying to accomplish with my next camera is I wanted to move to full frame. And I wanted to get detailed 4K. That was one of the things I was looking for, is detailed, high quality 4K with good color. And sadly, if you're on the Canon lineup, there wasn't much. I mean, there was very little. And if you look at the R5 is great, and that's why I bought it. But if you look below the R5, there are very few options. And the R6 is pretty good, but then you lose that 8K. You have overheating in 4K, although that 4K is 5.1K oversampled. You start to lose capabilities, and you don't have... it's okay for video. It's great for stills. Like, it's an incredible camera for stills. And then we've got the old EOS R and RP and, cropped soft 4K video. It's not for me. And that's where you can see that in Canon's lineup right now, there are some huge, huge gaps in terms of, sorry, I lost my word. I just saw another super chat coming in from, I believe it's Peter Gregg, if I can. Yeah, Peter Gregg's watching. Peter, I'll come back to you in just a second, but thank you very much. It really is very, very powerful for a lot of us. I could be a wedding photographer with this camera and it's going to work. I could use it for video for weddings. If I was going to use this camera as my primary camera, I would be making sure I'd be taking a Ninja 5 in with me, so I'm not going to have to deal with those overheat concerns. So again, and I've had some people say, well, Simon, there's a terrible camera where you have to throw $1,100 at it to make it better. Well, no, even if I had a Sony A7S4, I'd still get the Ninja, because what the Ninja does is it gives you the best possible video coming off that sensor, uncompressed by the camera. You let the Ninja determine, well, through your input, whether you want 444, 422, Upper ProRes RAW, Avid's codecs. You get a lot more choice in that quality, that detail you've got. And if detail matters, that's where something like the Ninja comes in. All right, I want to address the super chat by Peter. Peter, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Much appreciated. And I want to do a shout out to Peter too, because Peter, he's one of the big reasons I am where I am today. I think I had only been doing the channel, Peter, you can correct me on this, but I think I'd only been doing the channel for about 3 weeks. And Peter had an option where, it's $50 and he'll talk to you for as much time as you need. Well, not as much time as you need. I think it was like half an hour or so. And I said, look, be honest with me. I want to improve my channel. What can I do? And Peter's been doing photography for decades. He retired, and now he does a YouTube channel. And he's got one of the best setups for live streaming. He has 4 cameras. He's got an R6, A7S4, an Olympus EM1, I believe, and Sony ZV-1. And an ATM Mini. He's got a real professional setup, and it's so smooth the way he does it. It's really, really good. And tonight at 10:30, he's going to be having his own live stream. But I was smart enough to ask how can I improve? What can I do? And Peter gave me stuff that I'm still using to this day. And, a year and 4 months, and I'm now at 22,000 subscribers. And, it's paid for all my gear, which is great. So thanks a lot, Peter. Very much appreciated all your support over the years. And Peter's a good friend too. So very much appreciated, Peter. And as you can see, I'm doing the live stream a little differently than you would do. And for 43 concurrent viewers, this is insane. I guess, another lesson learned too. So last week I did the Q&A video at 7:30 in the morning Eastern Daylight Time. And the reason I did that is, that's when I normally put out my AMA video. Well, that was a mistake because I think I maybe had 19 concurrent viewers. Same person, same type of content, only then things were a bit more structured because I had comments from you and questions already lined up. Friday nights is definitely the time to do live streams. So based on what you see on YouTube helps, but until you get out there and try a few things, that's something you don't always know. Greg, can you switch between vector scopes, false colors, etc. while recording with the Ninja? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know because I'm a one-man show, and I don't know if there's a remote tool that allows me to connect. So I personally can't. Now, I'd imagine when I'm trying to remember back to when I actually had the R5 in for a review, and I remember it was pretty easy to switch back and forth between them. I can't imagine why it'd be a problem because you're not recording that information. It's just helping you determine exposure. And I'm not recording right now, so I couldn't even try it. But I can see all those little touch buttons on the screen wanting to be touched. Let me get back to you on that one. That's a very good question. But I couldn't imagine it would be an issue in any way whatsoever. CC. Oh, and we already got an answer from Jesse. Yes, you can easily switch. So there you go. I love the community answers. Okay, Nick asks, editing workstation. Would you recommend going for an M1 MacBook or building a custom PC? The extra option of Final Cut on the Mac is compelling. Oh, this is a good question. So let me preface this by saying, I got started in the computer industry with a Commodore VIC-20, moved to the 64, 128, and Amiga line before moving to Windows. And I stayed with Windows for 10 years before moving to Mac. And it wasn't because I thought that Mac was better. It's because Vista was so bad, I needed a new machine, and I just wasn't willing to take a chance. And I've been with that ever since. But I've also had an AS400 in my house, FreeBSD. I'm very experienced with all the different systems. The reason I settled on Mac OS is, it's Unix. And if you know Unix well enough and how well it does page threading, process handling, Unix is an incredible operating system. So Apple was smart enough to take that and run with it. So I like the operating system. But in terms of editing hardware, the only problem you're going to have with a Mac in terms of choice is, actually, no, you don't, because you still have Davinci Resolve, you still have Final Cut, and you still have Premiere and Avid and a bunch of others. But if you are editing on the Apple ecosystem and you're using Final Cut, and let's say Apple does something stupid, and I was getting ready to walk away from Apple, but this whole M architecture has changed that, and I'll answer that part of your question soon. The problem is if you're going to be editing on Final Cut, then your migration options are a little bit reduced. Now, I think you can still take your content and put it into Davinci Resolve. And I do think that Davinci Resolve is one of the best options out there. It's very powerful. It started off as a color grading tool, but now it's a full NLE. And it does a really great job. And it's cheap as butter, like $300 one-time license, just like Final Cut. And if you're just starting out, you just bought an expensive camera, then get their free version, and sure, you're limited. Maybe it doesn't do H.265, maybe it doesn't do 4K or some other things, but it's very powerful. Now, let's talk of the architecture. When Apple had their keynote talking about the M architecture, I thought, well, this sounds interesting, but as I got through it, I thought, okay, this sounds way too good to be true. This sounds like there's a bit too much hype in there. Well, it turns out that there really isn't a lot of hype in there. I mean, this is the M1 right here. And I want to tell you about some of my experience with this thing. Talk about outcomes. I'm not going to talk about how they have cores to handle H.265, to handle H.264, other cores to do other different things. So, you know, it's kind of like the old Amiga technology where the CPU will just say, okay, you do this, you do that, you do this, and it doesn't keep coming back. Am I still broadcasting? Because my LCD just went blank. So we'll find out very, very shortly if I'm still broadcasting. I think it just went quiet because I still see over here I'm live. Okay, so let's keep talking because the Ninja 5, there we go, the Ninja 5 is showing me live. I've been able to edit 8K video on this thing. All not raw, 8K video. I do a lot of my YouTube channels now, or YouTube videos on this as well. Taking the files from the R5 right into here, not using compressor, not converting them to, well, they already are in ProRes, but not doing anything else. We're looking at a minimum of 470 megabits. This thing doesn't skip a beat at all. It's incredibly fast. And to give you an idea, a 10-minute video, 4K HQ, 10-minute video in the M1 Mac in Final Cut. When I export to H.265, it's something like around 7 minutes. And what I used to do is I used to use the YouTube option within Final Cut or Compressor, and it could take 19 minutes. So the speed is incredible. You're not dropping any frames. You're not missing anything. It's buttery smooth doing 4K HQ out of the R5. It's just terrific. I can do 4K 120, no problem. It never skips a frame. The only time I've noticed it skip frames is when I'm using stuff like MotionVFX, which was a bit of a process pig even on the, what was it, the iMac Pro that I had earlier. It is a process pig. That thing would shutter too when I had multiple MotionVFX. And if I had, like I had 4 layered over top, the iMac Pro would just chug. I'd have to render them out before I could do any edits. It was terrible. So yeah, I still have problems with that. But if I don't have any like MotionVFX in there, and let's say I have 6 effects and I've got color grading, color balancing, it's fast. And rendering, fast. It's just incredible. And you know, let me see if I can bring this up so you can see it. Keeping an eye on the chat there, because one thing I do look, I don't expect you guys to be super chaps, but when people do put super chaps in there, I believe it's proper etiquette to rapidly get in there and address the comments. So about this Mac, because I don't expect you guys to believe me, I'll prove it to you. And let's see, I'll minimize this because I don't know if it's wise to show my serial number, so I'm not going to do that. But I don't know if you can see this. That looks like it's in focus. Yep, 8 gigs. This thing has 8 gigs. And it's the 7-core GPU. I did get the right one. This is not meant to be editing. I'm just using this as a stopgap until Apple releases the MacBook Pro. I want to see how well that's put together. I need 32 gigs of RAM. But, you know, $1,200, and this has 512 gigabytes. I can edit 4K video. It's a fourth the price of the iMac Pro. You know, I really do believe that 32 gigs is the right amount of RAM if you're going to be doing an awful lot of 4K editing. If you're running a channel, if you're running a business, you're going to want 32 gigs. But if you're a mom, dad, brother, sister, and you're doing this in your spare time, you're just doing family videos, or you're doing your own thing, whatever it is. If you're not editing all the time, you might be doing it once a week, a couple of times a month. You know, get one of these with 16 gigs of RAM. I think you're going to be more than happy. And I wouldn't even get the MacBook Pro. The one thing nice about the MacBook Pro 13-inch is it has the fans, so that way it can stay peak performance longer. But this thing here, like you see the videos I put out, how long they are. And this thing is pretty quick. It's faster in a lot of situations than my iMac Pro. I told you the story. I told you, I think last week, how I had this video that it would take me 50 minutes to export. That same video on this computer was equivalent to about 25 minutes. Almost half the time to export in H.265 for a machine a fourth the price, not half the price. All right, so let's see more comments here. Paul says, I would like the raw options over resolution. Most difficult work, yeah, okay. Oh, Greg asks, what is the $20 super chat? What do you mean, what is, let me see if I can understand your question. So a super chat is, you have an option down there where you can, when you're watching a live stream, if you want to, you can donate money to the channel. It's a way of saying thanks, or sometimes it's just a way to get your question to the top. This is really helpful if you're dealing with channels where they've got a lot more viewers than me and you're not going to be around for long, you want to ask a question, you put it in a super chat and it bubbles right to the top. That's standard etiquette. And so what a super chat does, it's just one of those options where you pay to put a comment out, and it supports the channel, but it also helps put your comment or question to the top of the stack. So Jesse's talking to Paul. Great. Yeah, no problem if you guys want to talk to each other. Demogo, good to see you, buddy. And look, I got to ask you a question. I haven't received a night challenge video entry from you yet. I'm hoping you're going to send one. And actually, all of you, are you aware that I have a night challenge contest? I'm actually having Jordan Drake from DP Review. He's going to help me pick a winner. I'm going to select the 5 best, give it over to Jordan, and then he's going to give his analysis and pick the winner. And the winner's going to get the Xiong Weeble S gimbal. So that's a really good prize. It's a nice prize. I like gimbals, and I think Xiong does a terrific job of them. I have the Crane 2 in the basement, and I used it tonight when I was filming. They're incredibly easy to use and operate. So, words, me, speak, lost. I forgot what I was going to say. Where was I? Demogle, yes, night challenge. So, I try to make things a little simpler. It has to be at least 30 seconds long, no more than 180 seconds. But the purpose of this one is to get you to shoot outside at night. And I've got 2 entries already, and they're terrific. They're very different too. One, David submitted it, and it's it's kind of like seeing his family at night, and you can see the story without words, the story that he's telling as the family's moving around and they're showing you different things. It's very nice. And the second video, I forgot the gentleman's name. I was going to say Raphael. It's not Raphael. He's actually created a mini story, and it's really good. And you got to watch it. He's done a terrific job. And so I've only got 2 entries so far, but they're really good. Shooting at night, it offers different challenges. You want to keep the blacks black, but then you got to use the exposure, or you got to expose based on the limited lighting that you have. So that's going to be a really exciting challenge. Even for me, shooting at night is something exciting to do. And I shot some video last Halloween with my son in the backyard, and it came out incredibly well. The only mistake I made, I left my UV0 filter on, so I got UFOs floating around my backyard. So please do enter. It doesn't cost you anything to enter. All 5 videos that I select will get an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap, a $34.99 value. And the winner, picked by Jordan Drake, will get an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap, along with the Weeble S by Xiong. So really great prizes. So take advantage of that, guys. One of the reasons I asked Jordan to join the challenge is just to provide an air of transparency to this contest. I've had some people say, oh, you're not going to give away a prize, or you're not doing this. And, I've given away several prizes already, and people can attest to receiving it. But I think when you're doing everything, I hear you saying it, but this is just a way to, another way to prove the transparency that, yes, I'm giving something away. So I look forward to your entries for that, guys. So thank you, Demogle. Mari Rodriguez, waiting to see if Blackmagic design responds to Atomos 8K ProRes. Yeah, I think what we can see now is 8K's here. It's a top shelf capability. And what I can say from having the R5, I shot with the R5 for about 8 months before I gave 8K any consideration, serious consideration. I did shoot some videos just to deal with overheating and to talk about detail. But when I shot my video in February, it was -7 outside. We'd had snow the night before. It was sunny. So I went into the forest, and you could see, you know, right at the top, you saw the blue sky shining through, hitting the evergreens, giving you that bright green. So you had the blue and the bright green, and then it was just dark forest. And the snow, with a slight breeze, would just fall off the branches. And when it's that temperature, the snow doesn't fall in clumps. It's like dust. It's like sand. It just trickles down, and as it trickles down more and more, it breaks into smaller and smaller pieces. And shooting that in 8K was just incredible, the detail. And so now I'm hooked on 8K. I've shot some other wildlife videos in 8K, and as a creative tool, it's very powerful. But if the camera didn't have it, I'd probably say, who needs 8K, or you don't really need it. Sure, it'd be nice, and some people use it, but that's the thing about having a lot of really great features in a camera. And when you pick your capabilities for a camera, you also want to make sure you're not just buying a camera for the capabilities of today, your current state, but you want to think of your desired future state. You know, where are you going to be in 3 to 5 years? Where are your capabilities going to be? And you don't want to be thinking in a year or two, I need to upgrade. Like if I had bought the Canon 5D Mark IV last year, I'd be looking at upgrading right now. And so you get the right camera, and you're not going to outgrow it so quickly. So I think that's something to really consider, not just what do I need today, but what will I need in the future? And don't be so quick to say, oh, I will never need autofocus, or I will never need 8K video, or I'll never need 45 megapixels. Ask yourself, well, why are they putting in the camera? What will that give me? And then ponder it. Would 8K, would whatever that capability is, give you something? And like I'm the things that I'm stunned with the R5 that surprised me the most is things like the Canon 800mm f11. You've seen my moon shots. If not, go back in December and look at some of my videos I put out on the moon. Just truly incredible, and a lot of fun that lens has been. And when Jupiter and Saturn comes up, and I don't know when that's going to be because the weather here in spring is terrible. You don't get a clear night. And I want to shoot the moons of Jupiter once again. It's just, it's incredibly powerful, incredibly powerful. So I'm, that. And of course, 8K and 4K HQ. And yes, it overheats, but you know what? Everything overheats. If you're going to be putting out 8K, 4K 120, I don't know what people tell you, but everything's going to overheat. The Alpha 1 overheats if you're going to shoot 8K. Even if in 4K 24, Stop the FOMO in his studio, which is in 60 degrees Fahrenheit, he's had it overheat after about an hour. So you have a small body in a hybrid camera, it's going to overheat in those modes. If you don't want overheating whatsoever, you can get a Ninja, or you move to the Cinema line that's designed to run all day long. So overheating, don't get caught up in the hype. Find out where things will overheat, what modes, what temperatures, and that kind of stuff, and what climate too, because your environment plays a huge factor as well. Let's see, let's look at the stats here. 43 concurrent viewers, it was just down from 44. That's awesome. And let's see, how long am I shooting for? 38 minutes. It's pretty powerful. All right, I want to take a look at some of your questions, because I think a big part of these chats is part of the engagement. I want to get you guys, talk to you guys a little bit more. So Stop the FOMO's with us here to do, and he just dropped a super chat as well. So Stop the FOMO, thank you very much. If you've got a question, let me know, because you've always got really great questions. So thank you very much for the super chat, and I love the chicken there. That's awesome. All right, let's take a look at some of the other questions here. I'm trying to get caught up a little bit. Peter Gregg says, hi, Manny, and everyone. Nice to see everyone. I have to go shower and get ready for my show. See you guys later. Everyone, wish Simon's son a happy birthday today. Yes, so watch Peter's channel, which is going to come up after mine. I'm definitely going to end before Peter starts his channel at 10 o'clock. So my son, as I mentioned earlier, had his birthday. He's turned 7. Yeah, half an hour ago. An hour ago, he turned 7. So that's really exciting. But I want to do a plug now. Do a search for Planet Liam. That's Planet Liam. He started his own channel. every time he gets a few new subscribers, he's tickled pink over it. So whether you're interested in his content, just a big favor of mine, just go to his channel, subscribe. If you want to see what it's like, who's somebody who's 6 or 7 is trying to do their own channel and how they focus on things or don't focus on a topic, take a look. He's got room for improvement, but I love it that he just gets in front of the camera and doesn't think about it. You know, it's just incredible. Amazing. 6, he just turned 7. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's not monetized yet. He's only got, I think, like 46 subscribers and about 6 or 7 videos. I don't push him at it. If he's asked for a video, I'll take the R5. And I enjoy shooting him more than I do my own channel because I'm behind the camera, and that's where I really love to be. I like to be behind the camera. So thank you guys for subscribing to his channel. I do appreciate that. Jesse says, yeah, Davinci is fantastic and fast. And if you decide to go PC, get an NVIDIA graphics card and it will fly. So yeah, good point. And thank you for that, because I haven't been using a Windows machine for a long time, but something you need to be aware of. Somebody asked me earlier about the M1. Microsoft has come out and said they're looking at building their own chips. Probably similar to the way Apple, they'll design it and do all that stuff, and they'll have somebody like TSMC fabricate them. But Intel has really dropped the ball here. They don't have anything on mobile front, and even their primary chips for desktop, which sells still very well. You have to boost up the clock speed. The thermals run really hot, and they're trying to use brute force. And so here's Apple has come out with a computer that's so much cheaper. It's gotten rave reviews. It's selling really well. And Microsoft has come out and said the same thing. Yeah, we're going to start designing our own chips. They're tired of waiting or being handicapped to Intel. They didn't say they're tired of being handicapped to Intel, but you're not going to go through the expense of doing your own chips if you don't see a huge benefit to it. And I think that would really help Microsoft and Windows. So keep an eye on that as well. But for now, yeah, definitely NVIDIA graphics card. But I think Davinci, I would pick Davinci over Premiere Pro any day. And the value's much better value proposition there. Waytech. Simon, I was able to edit the 8K video all-eye footage on Davinci Resolve, but for some reason, I'm not able to play it on media players such as K-Lite or VLC. Are you having that issue? No, well, I've never... So let's see. When I published my 8K videos, I was on the iMac Pro. So what was I using to play them back? I was just using QuickTime. I'm on a Mac, so on a Mac, QuickTime's great. On Windows, not so great. I'm surprised you weren't able to play it back. Are you on a Windows machine or Linux? Because if you're on a Mac, you should be able to use QuickTime. Let me know and I'll follow up with you. Hey, John, good to see you, buddy. John Drummond says, hi, Simon. Just checked in. I upgraded my Win 10 box to 80 gig last year, just in case, because I knew I'd shoot 4K one day. Yeah, and sorry, my glasses are right here. I should put them on because I'm having trouble reading the screen. I don't have to worry about that. Storage wars. I'm really disappointed that SSDs have really slowed down. For a while there, the price per gigabyte just came crashing down. And then they just it's kind of leveled off a bit. And we haven't seen much of a price drop in 2 years. Now, I've seen more 4 terabytes go on sale lately. So we're seeing better prices, but still it's very, very expensive. The biggest cost isn't necessarily going to be in your camera or your lenses. It's going to be in storage. At Christmas time, I bought a 4 terabyte Samsung Evo. We're not talking about the Pro, it's the Evo. It set me back, I think it was $499 US. And then they went up to like $600 or something again. And that's an awful lot of money. And you're going to need at least one every year. The storage costs are really just... I knew that I had to upgrade my machine. That's why I got the iMac Pro when I did. I got more memory. And that's where I think this is where the M1s can be a real breakthrough. for somebody that wants to produce really good videos, like family videos, that's going to be editing periodically, you know, $1,000 for one of these will more than be capable of what you need. But you still need, you know, something like, I would go with at least a 2 terabyte, and you might find that a little bit tight. So I went 4 terabytes because you'd be surprised at how you can just easily eat through that. My 1 hour movie, whereas where I'm at right now, is right around 1.1 terabytes. And when I was editing it earlier this year, it got up to, what was it? 2.2 terabytes. So what I did is I went into Final Cut and I said, look, you know what, delete all the files, all the rendered files, all the proxy files. Let's just delete it all. And I re-rendered and it came up to about 768 gigs. But yeah, you can easily eat that storage for lunch. So some of the biggest costs are in the storage, and hopefully we'll start to see prices come down. Hopefully we'll start to see some 8 and then 16 terabyte models. I mean, they're out there, they're there for industry, but we're not seeing them for consumers. And I was really hoping that, like we did see with hard drives, all of a sudden hard drives took off again, they slowed down a little bit and then they took off, and you saw that in the 90s, the noughties, and recently. So hopefully, we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for the thorough answer, Simon, says Nick. I'm a longtime Adobe Premiere user, but I've tried out Resolve on my laptop. We'll buy after hearing this. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, try the free version first. It's not going to cost you anything. And then, yeah, you go with the full version and it's $299. You know, it's a very, very good package. Very good package. Hey, Tim. Village Mayor says, spending... Oh, I scrolled up too far there. Let's see if I can find that again. Happy birthday, Liam, from the Village Mayor. Yes, thank you. Where's the other comment? I scrolled up too far. Spending my birthday watching him. Thank you. I just did my first export in H.265, half the time of H.264. Yeah, so with these M1s, your export time in H.265 is so much quicker. You've got a better file, and your upload time is that much quicker too, right? So it's a win-win. John asks, any word on ProGrade CF Express Type A cards? Yeah, no, I've heard nothing. ProGrade just did come out with a new product that allows you to take CFast cards and plug it into their adapter, which you can then plug into an SSD caddy or into the Ninja 5. But nothing about Type A. But what I have heard about Type A is that... Wait a minute, no, ProGrade. Sorry, I'm getting my companies mixed up. So yes, ProGrade is planning on having some CF Express cards Type A coming out anytime soon. I expect something this month. 3 different sizes, and they're supposed to be quite a bit cheaper than what Sony's offering. So that's a huge plus. That was another reason when I had the A7S3, I said you want to get a Ninja, just because of the sheer price of storage. It's just so expensive on the Sony side of things. Can you recommend a decent and affordable studio mic, says John, and board combo? My voiceover quality sucks. Well, John, I don't use anything that grandiose. It's not going to cost you $1,000. Now, I'm not using anything like this. This is just a cheap gamer headset, so I know the audio isn't, you know, FM quality. But what I use for most of my channel stuff is that Tascam DR10L. They're $200. What I really like about this unit is the base station, which sits on your hip. It's not wireless, so it records into that base unit, which is great because right there, you get to set your limiter, your gain, I think there's like 22 settings, but the first 10 is where you really control your audio, and you can set it up so when you bring it into post, you have nothing to do. The only thing I will adjust every now and then is the volume. But it's got some really great features, and I think it does well. So when I'm doing my normal channel, I'm sitting, you can see I have a mic here, that's the Tascam microphone. And when I do voiceovers, I sit in the same spot and I talk to the camera, because I find that if I talk and I'm in front of the computer, which is less distance, I talk differently, I talk softer, and it doesn't match. So I always sit in the studio in the same spot and I use the Tascam, and it's, well, you hear my quality. So $200, That ain't bad, as they say. Let's find out Team Canon. Awesome. Yes, okay, next question. Thank you for the birthday wishes to my son. He'll be happy to hear that. Paul asks, you have an international audience. G'day from Oz. That's short for Australia. When you run competition giveaways, etc., are they for all your audience or including those outside the US? Actually, my contests are only for New York City. I won't consider anything outside of New York City. No, I'm kidding. It's worldwide. This contest is worldwide. I had some legal advice the last time to rule out certain countries, but I had a better lawyer this time around. And what he said is, if you're not asking people to buy anything, if you're not selling anything, and asking you to subscribe is not something that costs you anything, then you're not restricted to giving something away. So I've opened it up. It's worldwide. So Australia, New Zealand. I used to live in New Zealand. Oh, I got to bring in my plants. What temperature is it going down to tonight? 36 degrees or about 3 Celsius. So you might talk about international. So Paul, I miss New Zealand. So I started a couple of years ago growing plants, fruit trees from New Zealand. So I've got a locust tree over there. It's about this tall here and big bushy leaves. And I've got a feijoa tree. It's also known as pineapple guava. So I grew it from seed. This is the third year. I think I've got some fruit growing because they look different from all the other buds. Be super excited because I miss New Zealand so much. I miss the fruit. And if you're in Australia, tell me you've heard of those fruit trees. And for those of you who are not in the tropics, I got to tell you, there's so many different fruits down there that we can't get up here. And feijoas and locusts are two of them. Now, locusts I was able to get in a local Chinese store here. But sadly, it's kind of like taking your video in, putting it in an editor, and then taking the saturation and bringing it down. And that's what it feels like to the taste of some of these tropical fruits when we try them here. And, you know, if I hadn't have tried them in New Zealand, I would have thought, wow, this just tastes like water. But if you pull them off the tree and they're not quite ripe, they have a really sort of tart taste to it. But once they get past that tartness, they're so very sweet and juicy, and the same with the feijoas. So, Paul, thank you for taking me down memory lane. And Moving Matt, thank you very much for the super chat. I can't believe it. I've got 4 super chats today. Guys, you're proving to me that you can actually do well with these live streams. I can't believe that. $38 today. Thank you so much, Moving Matt. Let's get the super chats flowing. This is the hardest working guy on YouTube. Thanks, Moving Matt. And Moving Matt reached out to me about, I think 3 or 4 months ago. He did a consultation with me, much like I did with Peter Gregg. And he does really well. Look at his videos. He has camera wars every week. And he has a great sense of humor. And I quite often bring him on my channel when I was doing these question and answer sessions pre-recorded. But now that I'm doing them live, it's a little more difficult. So thank you very much, Moving Matt. I do appreciate that. And you know, I'm not going to get to everybody's question. There's just no way that's possible. I'm getting far more concurrent viewers than I was expecting, which is great. Isn't that great? Okay, so let's find out. 4K IPB is so amazing, half the file size. Well, okay. IPB is great. And Sony has got to be one of the best companies for coming out with so many different IPB formats. The studio work that I do downstairs, I've done IPB and it looks great. It works. Many people couldn't tell the difference. Some did. But I think it's more than capable enough when you don't have the subject moving around. Even here with the background, most of it's stationary, but this moving head here, right? There's very little that you need all eye for. I just like all eye. I like having the best detail possible for editing. But IPB does a really good job. And if you're doing a channel, IPB is more than capable. But if you're going to be shooting where the camera's moving a lot or the subject's moving a lot, where you've got a lot of detail, if it's raining or snowing, these are where you can get some artifacts and the average person watching isn't going to notice. But you'll notice. And that's what you've got to determine based on the outcomes you want. is that something noticeable enough? So yeah, no, IPB does a great job, and it can be a lot more than half the size. It can be a fourth the size. Like if you look at Canon R5 and the A7S3, the R5 does, I believe it's 470 megabits in 4K, whereas the Sony, I believe, is 150. They say 300, or I think that's recording to both card slots at the same time. But and you look at the Sony and the quality is very good, but IPB depends on how much compression. And then there's IPB light, right? So IPB, I can't say anything bad about it. It's like tools. If you have a lot of tools in your garage or in your shed, the reason why you probably have a lot of tools is you have the right tool for the job. And it's the same with video. Use the right tools for the job. Nick Ann, I use gear that I know will... Okay, I got to put my glasses on here. I use gear that I know I'll use constantly and future-proof as best I can. I always buy top gear as I know it will last longer. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. And when it comes to buying cameras, I feel a whole lot more confident in doing that. But when it comes to buying these things here, you know, it's like I'm looking at buying my new next MacBook, and I've got funding in place to spend up to 4,800 Canadian, and that's somewhere, I don't know where that is US. It's definitely close to $4,000, but I don't necessarily want to spend it all. I need 32 gigs if it's available. I want decent graphics. Well, no, I won't. I want really good graphics, but I'm afraid I don't want to get I will never get more than a 1 terabyte SSD in one of these, because then if something goes wrong with the board, your repair cost goes up exponentially, because guess what's on that board? The SSD. And it's frustrating. So I try to keep the cost down so that way, because it's only got a 1-year warranty, and I can purchase 3 years warranty, but it's going to cost me, you know, a huge chunk of change more. I bought, I don't know how many computers over the years, and I've never bought an extended warranty. And if I look at all the money I've saved by not buying extended warranties, I could get a MacBook Pro free. So I have to look at this carefully to decide what I'm going to do next time around. We'll just have to see what Apple announces. Hello, everyone from Ireland. Nick, I had no idea you're from Ireland. Did you know that my mother's from Ireland? Way down south, like Wexford. Wow. Awesome. Get to know you guys even more. Greg asks, can you post a list of links to all Spring Challenge videos? Oh, no, don't make me do that. That's mean, because I have to go looking for them. I'll tell you this. If you go look at the video where I announce the winner, and you look at the one or two before that, you'll see all of them in there, and that you can look for them there. But probably by the time it's Friday, and tomorrow and Sunday, unless there's big news, I'm going to spend it with my son and doing the birthday stuff. So I'll probably forget. Otherwise, by Monday morning, post it in the comment section down below. But the Spring Challenge was over at, what, the end of March? So go back then, look at the winning video, and just it'll be in the description down below there. Jonathan, do he shoot with the R5 and Atmos Ninja? Does he shoot is probably what Autotype should have done. Well, right now I'm shooting with the Canon EOS R5, and I'm not shooting with the Ninja, but I have the Ninja on top just to use as an external monitor, because even though Canon has done a great job of where they put that flip screen, the fully articulating flip screen, I've got a cable coming out going down to the Mac here, and another one going into the Ninja 5, so I'm missing a good 25% of the screen. So the Ninja 5, especially from this distance here, allows to see how well I'm exposed, my positioning, and all that stuff. So that's all I'm using the Ninja for here. When I'm shooting my studio work in the basement, I use it all the time. I record with it. I mean, I can say I want Apple ProRes 422 right out of the camera, well, right out of the Ninja. I pop out the SSD, plug it into the SSD caddy, and I can start editing. So it's terrific, really terrific. Hey, Mr. Camera Junkie, love to see you here. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I try to catch your live stream too, but by the time I'm having trouble just remembering Peter's now. I'm so exhausted on Friday. So thanks for stopping by. And guys, take a look at Mr. Camera Junkie. Great channel there. And I love his lighting too. He's really done a good job with the lighting. Kind of inspired me to do what I've done. So yeah, thank you. Liam seems like a future politician. Now, Nikan, you have to let me know why you think he's a future politician. I'd love to hear from that. And also from Nikan, 8K seems to be the new standard going forwards, and even lower level models will have 8K in the next 18 months. Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I definitely think that's, yeah, I think if you spend $2,000 or more, it's something you can expect to see in newer cameras. Stop the FOMO says, thank you, Stop the FOMO, for dropping by. My RTX 3090 PC workflow 8K is still too slow. Might have to upgrade to a Threadripper. You know, it's funny, I was watching a video talking about how Intel's fallen down, and, you know, AMD, they got the right CEO. They focused on the right things, and they put somebody in charge who wasn't a bean counter like Intel's been doing, and they put somebody who's an engineer that understands this stuff. And you look at what the Ryzen processors over the last couple of years, the Threadrippers, and they've done incredible jobs. And what they were saying is, you know, AMD's done a great job, and Apple's done a terrific job as well. So, or you know what, downgrade, get one of those M1 Max. But yeah, like seriously, it's amazing. Now, doing ProRes RAW, doing ProRes, and whenever I edit on the Macs using ProRes, it's fast, like 8K is fast. But with the 4K stuff, well, no, I keep forgetting I use the Ninja. So most of the times I'm always editing in ProRes. I just had a few issues over the years, and I default to ProRes and don't have any issues. So, you know, $1,200 for this thing here, and it will rip through 8K. Something to try, because, you know, as far as budgets goes, try this out. And if it's able to work for you, get at least the 16 gig model. Try it out. I don't think you necessarily need the Mac Pro. Just get the MacBook Air, 16 gigs, the 8K processor. I mean, if it doesn't, because I know you're dealing with like 8 or hour-long 8K, so I don't think it would be the ideal machine for you. I think a MacBook Pro probably would be. But if it doesn't, then you just give it to one of your kids, and you know they've got a great homework computer for the next 6 years. So, but yeah. Ryzen, AMD, what they're doing is, you know, again, I think they're doing a great job. They really, really are. Now I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit because I'm talking louder than I should. And that's what I have to not do. Waytech, I'm on a Windows 10 machine. Okay, so I thought you were on a Windows 10 machine based on not saying QuickTime. And I wouldn't download QuickTime for Windows. On Windows, I just don't like it. VLC is universal. It just should work. Yeah, if somebody else is running on Windows and is able to play 8K no problem, please post in here, address it to Waytech so we can get them an answer. All right, stop the FOMO. SSD price going up because crypto craze and uses storage for mining. Yeah, you've just, you know what, you've got to find your spots. I was noticing on. They have their daily deal on B&H, and I try to keep an eye on that for you guys. If something really great's out there, I try to post it in a quick comment. But I think it was around $499 US for an 4 terabyte SSD. But it's frustrating. I mean, this year everything is 2 birthday presents from relatives and friends. We're supposed to be here today, and they're showing up on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's this year by Toyota, which is in the shop. Toyota Canada is, they got back to me and they said, yeah, you know, it's in San Francisco. We're having trouble getting you the parts. So I took it in 3 weeks ago, and they're still, you know, don't have the parts. So yeah, every supply chain, these are not normal times, right? So we've got, so frustrating. And this is when we need SSDs. We need bigger SSDs. So hopefully that does correct. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm really, sometimes I get a little bit down because here we are in almost the middle of 2021. At least up here, we've got a third wave going on, and it just doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. And I really do hope this doesn't last as long as the one did in 1918, because it went on for about 3.5 years, and they had 5 waves. 5! getting tired of it. It's pulling me down. It's just, you know, as my wife said the other day, I'm bored. I know this, we just got to suck it up, but it's hard sometimes. And what I told my son is tomorrow we'll wake up early and we'll go on a really nice nature hike. We'll go to Newmarket Falls, and going by the trails, it's about 7-8 kilometers. And I think you'll have a great fun with that. I'll take a backpack and I'll put my camera in the backpack and see if we don't get any good footage. But yeah, you know, and my wife makes really incredible food. So I'm not down because of food or anything. It's just, you know, the same as you, know, and even if you're in areas where you can go out, like there's some places like Australia, New Zealand, which, you know, it was almost nothing and they were able to go out and have normal lives again. But it's definitely not the case here. Anyhow, it's enough of that stuff. We don't want to talk about, we want to talk about other stuff that's not depressing. John Drummond, I use a Windows 10 PC, not an M1. Still got a huge time saving exporting my Resolve project in H.265. Yeah. Happy birthday to Liam's son. Thank you very much. And John responds, thank you for the mic answer. I have a gamer headset too, but I'll look into the Tascam. Yeah, and here's the thing. If you go to live streaming, everything's different. You know, your cameras can be different. Your audio can be different. Your cables, everything. I'm still using the R5 because it plugs directly in thanks to the Canon EOS web utility. I want to use the M1 because the audio off the M1 is better than this thing. It does a really, really good job. I'm amazed at how good it is. But the EOS web utility doesn't work on here, so lots of fun there. I can't believe this. Look, I've been pretty well holding close to 40 concurrent viewers. I can't believe that. This is definitely a good time to be doing a live stream. All right, another one from Jesse. Oh, he's talking to John. I believe that B&H Photo has a task on $125. You know what, John? Get two. I'm not kidding you. I've got two of them. If you're going to use anybody else in the scene, or maybe in a year from now you drop it or break it, at $125, I'd get two. That is a good price for the Tascam DR10L, $125. Thank you so much, Jesse, for that announcement. Wave Drop. Hi, Simon. Let me hear your thoughts about the latest Sony camera rumors. The A7S4. Are you... okay, you got to be referring to the A7 IV. Because the A7S4? A7S4. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a sec. Moving Matt. Another $5 super chat. Thanks so much, my friend. It's hard for sure. Keep your head up, Simon, when this clears up. And he also messages to John Drummond. I'm going to come up to Canada and make an ordinary film with you. Yeah, you bet. You know, and what I've been really hoping to do, I was hoping to do it this summer, is to be able to do a live stream in the park. So I got to tell you some news here. So I just got word from my DHL tracker app that I'm receiving a package on Monday. I reached out to a company because I think I know who it is. YOLO Live is sending me another one of their broadcast boxes, the YOLO Live. It's $1,000. It's a little bit more expensive than the ATM Mini, but here's one thing that really kind of sets it apart. It can do all the stuff that you could normally do, but you can put in a SIM card, and now all you need is a cell signal, so you can be truly remote. And I'm really excited by that. I was hoping to have it by this Friday. Now, to get it to work with the Canon R system cameras, you do need a simple HDMI pass-through, which I was able to pick up for $25 on Amazon, but holy cow. You know what it's like to get an HDMI pass-through? Everyone's buying them. So I've got one here. So hopefully when I get that on Monday, my next broadcast next week will be in my backyard. And I'll have the lighting set for night. And that would be pretty cool to do, I think. So I'm really looking forward to doing that because this would be great. We'd go out to a local park someplace or maybe in the forest where I've shot a lot of times with Tim. And we could do a live stream together. I think that would be a really good thing to do. So thanks a lot. But so let's go back to the Sony. Let's see, have you responded to me with... Okay, so I'm going to answer the question based on the question I thought you got. So the A7 IV, based on Sony rumors, we were supposed to be getting right around... when was it? Well, within a couple of weeks after the Alpha one, but we've heard nothing since. And I don't like Sony rumors because Sony does such a great job of keeping their secrets hidden. So when you do get a rumor, it's hard to really know how credible it is. And usually I wait to hear what Sony Alpha Rumors or Sony Rumors says. You know, that if they say they really know this source and they've had a lot of good luck, that really helps. But if it's just posted out there, then I think like, okay, is this somebody who's just said, this is what I think will happen? Now the A7 IV is coming out, but it's hard to say when. It's supposed to be this year. Sony hasn't said anything, but we believe it's supposed to be coming out this year based on what the rumor sites are saying. Now the A7 III is still a very good camera, but it is in need of a refresh. Hopefully not a refresh like they did with the A7R4A, which it basically got a slightly bigger flip screen, higher resolution flip screen, which is great. But then the Alpha 1, they released it with the old flip screen. It's frustrating. Like, Sony, what are you doing? If you knew this was coming out in a camera a month or two after the Alpha 1, why didn't you just put it in the Alpha 1, charge an extra $100 or whatever, just give people that bigger screen? I don't understand that. But anyhow, the A7 IV, it's not going to be as good as the A7S3 or FX3 for video. And I don't know what Sony's doing with those two cameras. If you've got the FX3, then why don't you just get the FX3? Is there going to be a A7S4 in the future? You know, I mean, if I was looking at the A7S3 right now, I'd probably look to the the FX3, because it's bigger, it's able to handle heat better, it's engineered for video. It's a video-centric camera that's built for video, whereas the A7S3 is a video-centric camera in a still, so the A7S3 is better. So I can see why it makes sense to me that if Sony came out and said, well, we're not doing an A7S4, man, I get that. It makes sense to me. But the A7 IV, it should be soon. But look, we waited 5 years for the A7S3. And I strongly believe that if you're going to keep your news to yourself, you're not going to leak things out, keep to a regular release schedule, because these cameras cost a lot of money for us. And the last thing you want to do is go out and buy a camera and then they refresh it in a few months. So if I do the same thing, I was looking in 2019 and 2018, and I looked at the Sony A7 II and I thought, okay, they're going to be refreshing soon, so I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy the A7 III because, well, the A7S3 is going to be better at video. It's supposed to be coming out soon. So I ended up buying nothing from Sony. And then we started to hear these rumors from Canon, which I thought I was done with. Canon R5. I thought, okay, let's wait and see how this goes. Because in 2020, I was thinking R5 or A7S III. And I ended up getting the R5 because there was so much hype over it. I was able to use it to create so much content for the channel that basically it paid for itself. And ended up getting the A7S III as much as I wanted. I'm looking at spending another $6,000 to have a B camera or another A camera. I can't justify that $6,000 to have two expensive cameras when I just don't have the profile of a channel or the revenue of a channel to justify that. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Stop, Jesse. Stop. So another conversation back and forth with Stop the FOMO. You are using A1 cores in Davinci, and that beast card struggles. Yeah, but you should see what Stop the FOMO is producing. Like, he's doing 8K video all the time. And he does a 4K 120. He's making his computer work really hard. All right, so Lincoln, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate your commenting and joining me on my live stream here. Greg, thanks for the live video. Gotta go, dinner time. Enjoy your dinner, my friend. Thanks for stopping by. It's almost time for me to end as well. Yeah, timing is everything, John. And we get down to the last couple of comments. YOLO will be a game changer. Well, the real game changer, Village Mr. Mayor, is if you can come up here and shoot one of those videos with me. And I know, it looks like our numbers aren't coming down, which means they're probably not going to lift restrictions anytime soon. But as soon as things change, you and I have to do that. What were we going to get? What was that beef from Japan? Kobe beef. I was going to spring for the Kobe beef. We're going to get some nice snacks. We were going to shoot the Jupiter-Saturn Convergent with the YOLO Live, but we couldn't get things to work. We didn't know about the HDMI pass-through. That would have been a great, great video to do. And so we'll plan on doing something else. And maybe what I'll do is I'll have my iPad with me as I do that broadcast. And so I can still see your comments live instead of me just talking aimlessly talking head and going nowhere with it. John Drummond says SSD storage is so expensive. I just got a 3 terabyte, 7200 RPM drive for $100 USD from B&H. To me, it doesn't sound too bad. But I don't use those old spinning disks now. I just go SSD. Moving Matt. No, he is actually talking about the Sony A7S4, and they're calling it a wild rumor. Well, most Sony rumors are wild rumors. They're saying it is the next 8K camera. I'd be a little annoyed because I just got the A7S3. And yes, no, I don't see Sony doing that. This is probably just somebody speculating. This doesn't make sense from it coming from Sony. The A7S3 just came out last year. To come out with a new camera this year that's got 8K video, I don't see it. Now I could see them updating the A7S for 2022 or 2023, but to do it right now, because I can't imagine the A7, like, with Sony's names, I always get them mixed up. I got to make sure I say this right. With the A7 IV coming out, I don't see it doing 8K video because it would trump the A7S III, and that's not its market. I don't really see it doing that, because then if they did that, then people with the A7S III would be going like, WTF, what's going on here, right? So I think Canon definitely surprised the market when they came out with 8K in the R5, but I don't think the rest of the market was that far behind. I know that Sony and others, 8K's on the roadmap. And don't forget OM Digital, or Olympus, or OMD. They're coming out with a wild camera this year, and I'd be surprised if they didn't tackle 8K as well. I think we're going to see 8K and a lot more. I wouldn't be surprised if the GH6 has 8K. Got to take these off. They're annoying me. What else are we expecting this year? Canon. Well, Canon, we got 2 more cameras, but I don't think they're going to have 8K because the R6 doesn't have it. But I think a lot of people, because 8K cameras, they're not going to be cheap. If you can spend $1,500, $1,800 and get really good sharp 4K that's not cropped, I think a lot of people will go for that. So yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Any rumors of Panasonic lately? Yeah, well, I was just kind of... So Panasonic's almost like Sony. It's really hard to find anything. And look, trust me, I would love it because I can produce a lot more videos and get more revenue. If I don't produce videos, I'm not making money. But I just don't want to produce things for the sake of it. So the last video I put out on the GH6 was probably about 2 months ago when I did the A7 IV as well. And now, I mean, there's a rumor that, well, here's what we do know. The GH6 is coming out this year. Yamane-san from Panasonic has said it's coming out this year. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how it is supposed to be coming out on the anniversary of the Lumix line. And that's September the 17th. Oh boy, here's the old man brain kicking in. It's either September the 7th or 17th, but it was back in 2001 that they released 2 cameras. So that's why we're thinking the most likely time that Panasonic's going to drop the GH6 is going to be September this year. So we're not too far away. Look, we're already in May. May's supposed to be a big month. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some drops by Canon. I'd be surprised if we didn't get some drops by Sony as well. I want some more really crazy stuff to come out, so I'm looking forward to that. Sir, thank you so much for a super chat. I really do much appreciate that. Very, very thank you very, very much. And you say, thanks for the camera news. I am planning for my next mirrorless camera for high quality macro photography. R5R or wait and see. What's your budget? So first of all, I'm already signed up to get the 100 millimeter macro with a 1.4 times magnification. I'm really, really excited to get that lens. I did have the EF version on an APS-C camera. So with that 1.4 times magnification, it's going to give me very similar type capabilities. And so I'm really excited to try that lens out. Right now, well, I would say the R6 or the R5. And again, it depends on video. But right now, the R, it's so old. I mean, it's so old that it farts dust. The R is basically, it's the 5D Mark IV, which came out in 2016. It's just a mirrorless version of that. And in most of the capabilities, the specs, It's identical to the 5D Mark IV. But one way it isn't is the speed. So it's not nearly as fast. While they advertise 8 frames per second, with continuous autofocus, you're lucky to get 3 to 4 frames per second where it's accurately in focus. So if you can wait, I'd wait a few months, because Canon's supposed to be doing a lot in the second half of this year. We're supposed to be getting an APS-C, our system camera. We're supposed to be getting a replacement for the RP. That'll be around $899. Well, that was pre-COVID. It might be $999 now. And then we're going to be getting another camera that's going to sit between the RP and the R6. It's going to be mid-priced and mid-capable. So you might want to take a look and see what those cameras are. I don't think the RP will give you what you want. But, you know, if Canon could deliver an R system camera for around, what, $1,700, $1,800, and give you a lot of what you want. So I'd keep an eye on that. But I think the R5 is really, really terrific. I think it's one of those cameras that's going to allow you to grow and grow and grow with, but it's not cheap. It is an expensive camera. Just the setup I've got here, I've got the R5 with the RF 50mm f1.2, and that's what? It's $2,400 or so after taxes, US. Then I've got an Angelbird 2TB CF Express card in there. That's $900, and an Angelbird 128GB AV Pro card. And the R system is not is very expensive. So if there's another camera coming out and gives you the capabilities you want, take a look at it, because while the R5 is great, if it gives you too much that you need and you're never going to grow into most of that, you might want to wait to see what they come up with soon. So again, thanks for the super chat. You guys aren't going to let me leave. What's with all these oh my goodness, all these super chats? Oh my goodness, it's saying I have, oh my goodness. I got to put my glasses on here. Is that $5 or $50? Oh my goodness. Randy, thank you so much. That is super generous. I'm completely staggered here. I can't believe that. Thank you so much. And hello, I'll see you in I'm going to end this in about 8 minutes, because Peter Gregg is doing his live show very shortly, and I want to be there for that. And I risk running out of batteries on my light here and my Ninja, because I didn't check to see how well charged they were before. I knew they were good for an hour. Randy, thank you so much for that. Very much do appreciate that. Randy does say the A6700 to the A6900 upgrades from the A61 to A6400 and A66. Yes, I'm curious to see what the A69 is going to be about as well. No A7S4 though. Yeah, I know it. It's frustrating. Oh wow, you guys have. I'm completely flabbergasted as these super chats. This is, and 46 concurrent users. This, I'm just, yeah, I'm shocked. I'm humbled, because, you know, I'm just an ordinary guy here that does this as a hobby of mine. This is not my day job. I am an enterprise architect by trade, and it's been a very busy day or very busy week in that field. A lot of stuff happening at work, which has been exciting, and I love that. I love thinking. I love coming up with things. So that's very enjoyable to me, and this is fun too. And I was really beat down tonight. I was exhausted. I had my physio, or my physiotherapy. It's not the right term for it. It's more like rehab, and so I'm exhausted physically and mentally. So you know, this is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. It's a huge attaboy. So thank you so much. But yeah, this is a pretty good live stream. So I think, yeah, doing Friday nights at 8:30 seems to work really, really well. Go for an hour or so. And yeah, thank you for the likes. 27 likes, 47 concurrent viewers. That's absolutely stunning here. I would keep going, but it's 10 o'clock. I've got to process my son's video, and I want to go relax and watch Peter Gregg while I process my video. And hopefully I'll see you guys there. Peter Gregg live. It's all together, no spaces. Peter's one of those guys where, you know, he just sits and watch. He can be silly at times. He's fun-loving, and he's just there to engage you. Again, if you have any questions, he'll answer your questions. But it's more of just a way for a lot of us to go, like me, Mr. Camera Junkie, Randall. Moving Matt, we visit Peter Gregg's live stream, and it's just a chance for us to kind of unwind and let somebody else run the show for a while. So, yeah. But thanks a lot, guys, so much for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you for engaging. And, you know, here I am a year and a half into this channel, and you know what? This has been a great source of positivity in my life, too, because I'm not worrying about what's going on in the world. I'm engaging with you guys on something that we enjoy very much, which is camera gear, filming techniques, and even computers, too. Like when there's, I'm not, you know, I don't cover Macs, but when, you know, there's a major change in the hardware that we use to edit our footage, I think that's very, very wonderful too. So words speaking out. See, I can tell I'm getting a little tired. I'm starting to trip over my words, but yeah, thanks, Jesse. You have a great weekend too. Everybody, thank you so much for coming in here and joining me on The Ordinary Filmmaker. Got to make sure I press the right button here to end the stream properly. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. So I will come back next week, and I'm going to keep trying to improve things a little bit more. What I'm using right now is I'm using OBS or OBS with YouTube, and I'm just using a very simple setup. And of course, the R5 is not the simple part of the setup. The R5 comes directly into the MacBook Pro, which allows me to use the feed directly from that camera, which produces very good results. And of course, the Ninja 5 on top allows me to see myself, because you'll see this every now and then, I'm talking right here, and I'm not looking up here. So I will look down here to see what comments you guys give me, but then I sometimes get stuck on the little view down here. But bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Tim, great seeing you. Waytech, Lincoln, Mr. Cameron Junkie, Jesse, everybody. Sar, Wandel, thanks for the super chats. Mr. Mayor, thank you for your super chat. Moving Matt, thanks again, guys. Very much appreciated. Stop the FOMO. I appreciate your encouragement all along too. Peter Gregg, Yusuf, all of you. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great weekend. And don't forget, participate in my night challenge. What's the worst that could happen? You learn a few new tricks. Best thing, you get an Ordinary Filmmaker baseball cap and a Weeble S. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a good weekend. We'll see you again soon. Wow.